Today's chat is brought to you by the support of all our Twitch subscribers. Through the patronage you provide the Focus Fire chat team through the Twitch platform, we are able to provide you with the weekly podcast as well as the website and other aspects of Focus Fire chat. If you have any interest in becoming a subscriber of the FFC and gaining access to some exclusive features over in the Discord server, please be sure to visit our Twitch account and click on the subscribe button. If you're an Amazon Prime member, remember that you do have a free subscription to Twitch every month that can be used for this. And for those of you who are already subscribers, thank you again for your generosity.
You may have heard the whispers of guardians gathering in the shadows, exploring the mysteries of this world and the worlds which surround us. We are all in search of truth. Sometimes we need to focus that search. Focus that fire. And so we come together. Welcome to Focused Fire Chat.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on January 17th, 2020 over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, I want to give a big shout out to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This week's episodes are going to be focused around exploring the lore book Dawning Delights. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the intro session of the week's explorations. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who all we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
And this is the perpetually tongue-tied, green-eyed music lover.
One of us is always going to fill that role. And last but definitely not least, in the hot seat as guest co-host, we have our good friend, DrJazzyBebop. Jazzy, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm well, thank you. And thank you for having me on.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Man,
I've been wanting this to happen for like 2 years now. You have no idea.
I'm gonna agree with Green on that one. Like, you're fighting schedules, and then so are you located like near the fires that are going on? Like, how is?
I'm in Melbourne I'm in Melbourne, Australia, for anyone who doesn't know. So my state, Victoria, has been pretty badly affected by.
I was going to say, I'm like, you're fighting schedules, the fire, like,
a little bit.
man.
Thankfully, Melbourne is okay. It's been more like regional areas that have been having the fires, although we have been having
you guys have gotten
pretty bad smoke coming through. Yeah, it's not too bad today, but there's some days where definitely it's been quite hazy, and they've been giving warnings about that the air quality isn't very good, and
is that
just
where
to be careful.
The tennis tournaments have been?
Yes, the Australian Open is in Melbourne. That's correct.
Yeah, they were talking about that earlier today about. They're judging the air like every 4 minutes or something, just insane. And it was
that sounds about right. Yeah, I think there was some poor player who I don't remember their name, but had to forfeit the match because I think it was.
And they sent an open letter. Yeah, they're
coughing too much, like bad coughing fits and having trouble breathing. Yeah, just not nice. Not good. Not good conditions to be playing in at all.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's what I think because I think it was the BBC was talking about. They had sent an open letter basically to the organizers about the whole thing, and I was like, geez, I can't. I'm just trying to get my head around the concept of that in general. So, but
a little bit surprised they went ahead with it. Although I don't know. I guess when they decide to cancel. Usually it's more if they're cancelling, it's on like really hot days. We haven't really had so much, cases that they've had to cancel because of really bad air quality. So see how it goes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just hard to kind of even wrap your head around a bit. And I know that I'm sure that is something that has been brought up quite a bit lately just because it's so personal and so around everybody down there, and just in where we're at in the US, we're in the Midwest, and you have like Hurricane Katrina happens. Technically, that's nowhere near where either Blue or I are, but a lot of our friends from overseas will ask. So I'm it's reassuring to hear that you're not so close to where the major burns are happening.
No, thankfully we're all right here for the moment. Yeah, and I do feel sorry for the poor people out in the more regional areas. Yeah, they've definitely been having a hard time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the weather's not cooperating too much. But yeah.
No.
We should shift over into something a little less
heavy.
Yeah.
A little bit more festive.
Yes. So Jazzy, Jazzy has been a part of Ishtar Collective for as long as I think it's been around. Weren't you one of the?
Oh no, I wasn't there.
I thought you
originally.
were.
Good Lord, when did I join?
You've been there for a while.
I can't remember.
I think
it's been at least a year or two,
right? Yeah.
You have so
It was
many
after
recordings.
D2 came out. I remember because I was helping with doing the transcripts of the ghost scans.
Yeah.
Because I got way aware of you with your screenshots. Because we used a few of those for like our early banners.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the first time I talked to you. I was like, "Hey, you're one of the few people who actually take really decent screenshots in D1." So.
Oh wow! Thank you. I feel really special now. Wow, that's so cool. It's always awesome to hear people using my screenshots as like wallpapers or whatever. I've had people say like they use them for wallpapers at work, and I'm like, for real? Wow, that's so cool.
No, they're good. You do a really good job with those.
Oh, thank you. I should explain, I guess, for anyone who doesn't know, that I like taking screenshots of all the really beautiful scenery and landscapes in Destiny. Although I haven't had so much time to do it lately, unfortunately, because I've been super busy. But I guess it's one of those things. One of the things I love about Destiny is that they do amazing environments. They're just stunning, and I guess sometimes, it being a first-person shooter, it's really easy to just go around, running around shooting things and doing your quests and your bounties and all that just sort of jazz, and not always, I guess, taking the time to kind of have a bit of a look around. So that's one thing I like doing, just going around exploring and finding some of the prettier places in game and taking screenshots of them. Yeah.
So is that what led you into getting into the lore a bit, or was it something totally different?
Oh, good Lord. I'm trying to think. No, I think I got into... When did I get into taking screenshots? This was several years ago. I think it was when I was part of a previous clan a while ago, and they used to have... I think they did like kind of clan screenshot competitions. They'd have like a scavenger hunt kind of thing. So they'd say, oh gosh, it's been that long. This was like 2015, 2016 or something.
Nice.
And so they'd have ones, like get a photo like on a ship or something, get a photo with, I don't know, a female vendor or something. There'd be all sorts of things. And I remember, one of them was like, oh, I could get a photo, but like, let's see if I can get it with a nice background.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the ones I'd noticed on Earth, I think on the Cosmodrome in D1 at night, if you looked up at the sky, it just has this beautiful aurora. The colors just look lovely. And then I think another one was when I was on one of the times I think I first started paying attention to the scenery was when I was on the moon. And, you load in patrol and, usually you just go, like, you jump on your sparrow and you just go shooting up the hill. And then you go off and you do your whatever patrols or whatever. And this time I thought, no, I'm going to just turn around and have a look and, turn around and just saw, like, there's this just stunning view of, the sun and the sky and, just the stars everywhere. I was like, wow, that just looks... like, what a phenomenal view, and it's been there the whole time. Like, I think I've been playing several months at this point. I was like, that view's been there the whole time, and I never noticed it because I just never bothered, just looking in that direction. And then it got me thinking, wow, I wonder what other, pretty places there are that like I've run past probably like hundreds of times and just never looked. So I used to do more of just like going around and exploring like everything. Haven't done it so much in D2, unfortunately. Just been
university first.
Yeah, uni's been a bit busy, but like there's definitely some places I'd love to go and take more screenshots of, like especially Shadow Keep, like some of those places on the moon look so cool.
So I made the personal discovery about the it's like a space station that's floating above the moon a bit. I was like, oh my gosh, I never really noticed it. Apparently it's been there since D1. I had no idea. Like I never looked at it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember seeing that.
It's just
that one up in the sky.
Completely
somewhere.
off guard. But yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I love walking around the moon. It was it was just so nostalgic, like going back to these old places, going, wow, I remember like walking around these halls and things and like in D1 and getting to come back to it was really cool.
Yeah. All right, so I've got 2 questions for you beyond what we've kind of talked about already. What got you into the lore? If it wasn't the screenshots, what was it?
I'm probably not remembering exactly. Since this was a while ago, I started playing a few weeks before Taken King came out. So when was that? 2015. So I'm not a day one player, but I have been playing it for quite some time. I got into it because I used to play Halo a lot when I was younger. But I hadn't been playing video games for a few years, I think, at this point. So I'd heard Bungie had a new game, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. So I didn't really know anything about it, other than like it was a sci-fi shooter, kind of similar to Halo, with enemy alien races and all that, and that was about it. And my brother got it for me for my birthday, which was about 3 weeks or something before Taken King. So initially I just came into this game and I had no idea what the hell I was getting myself into. But like I found, I really enjoyed the gameplay and the missions and all that. It didn't I think initially, I don't think I really got probably into the lore until after Taken King. I think the thing that got me... Yeah, it was a good time. I think what really, I think I was sort of kind of interested in general details, okay, who are the Fallen? Like, what are they and all that, but not really delving deep into it. I think it was, if I remember right, it was Books of Sorrow that got me really hooked on the lore. I remember reading that and just being so fascinated by, the story of how the Hive came about and backstory of Oryx and his sisters and the worm gods and all of that. And I thought, wow, this is this is so cool. It's like a story at such a grand epic scale. And then that got me really interested, what other kind of, really interesting stories are there in the lore. And I think I got hooked from then. So Books of Sorrows. I think if I remember right, it probably wasn't the first lore thing I read, but I think that's what got me hooked. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the final question for you is, what class do you primarily play?
Titan at heart.
Really?
Yes, I am a Titan.
You are one of the few lore Titans that I know then.
Oh, really?
It's like
few and far between, huh?
Right. I think that's awesome though. I love Titans. I think they are fun-loving people, a lot of them. So it's great.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
I think when I first joined, when I first started playing, and they came up with the option to pick classes, and I didn't know anything about any of them. And I think I looked up a quick guide just to see if there's much difference. And I picked Warlock initially because it says something about space magic, and I was like, who doesn't want to use space magic?
Right.
So I got into that, and then I think second character was a hunter, and Titan was my third. And I don't know what something about Titans I just found I like the other two classes, but Titan is more my favorite. I think partly also I like the idea of Titans being like the defenders of the city and humanity. I guess I like that. That and, punching things.
That and punching things, yeah. And then the bubble, oh my gosh, the bubble strats are real again.
Oh, the bubble, yes. And, who hasn't totally accidentally punched a cursing thrall, right?
I think we all have. I
just have. You do it and just after you're like, oh, that was a bad decision.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
but yes,
great.
Titan for me.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you kind of hopped in with us and joined us on this one. Like I said, I've seen your video clips and your transcriptions and whatnot on Ishtar for a long time, so I really wanted to get you involved and just kind of hop on with us because I wanted to get your perspective on something, just anything. And it so happened we got to do Dawning Delights, or get to do Dawning Delights this time. So
yes, which I'm very excited about. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
Nice to discuss such a wholesome book. It's so good.
Right? Something not so heavy at the moment.
Yeah, it's just so cute. I love it.
Yeah. All right, Blue, do you have any special announcements or anything before we start diving in?
No. Not this week.
Not this week? Okay.
Do I have any special announcements?
I like how you're asking me.
I know. I'm like, I don't think I have any special announcements.
Not at the moment. I have a teaser. I have the design figured out for this year's Guardian concert.
Yeah. So we're going to do that. And then, I guess as far as special announcements, it's not really a special announcement, but, we kind of were talking, Jazzy kind of just brought it back to my mind. If you haven't already, Bungie has released their Guardians for Australia's t-shirt.
I have mine.
Awesome design. Absolutely love it. And then also be sure to also give some love over to the DDU podcast. I talked to Matt and Rick a little bit about this, but they're going to be their charity drive is going towards the Australian Red Cross. So that is an organization that is not restricted to just one area, but actually the entirety of the country. So, yeah, that was the only thing with the shirt. And I think Wires actually came out and said that they are working to not be restricted to. Is it in South Wales? Is that Jazz?
New South Wales.
New South Wales. Okay,
pretty close.
I'm like I say it and I'm like that makes no sense in my head, but whatever. But no, because I know Wires, I think, is technically they're only allowed to operate within New South Wales. But they are in the process of like working around because of the extraneous circumstances and everything. But the Australian Red Cross is not restricted. So that's what the DDU podcast is actually. That's one of the reasons they are helping or going towards that.
Nice.
Yeah, chat's loving it. Listen, chat. I'm talking. You know what? Listen, I'm done. Green.
Let's talk about the Dawning Delights.
So yes, did you want to do your teaser or did you?
Oh, I just said that I know what the design is for Guardian Con. That's your teaser.
That's the teaser. Teasers.
Yeah.
Oh, Black Flag. Look. I'm just gonna smack chat real quick. So all right. So let's run through. We'll just run through a quick housekeeping notes as usual, and then we'll jump right into the chat. Last episode, we discussed Eva's journey with Saints Workshop. If you're enjoying the show, please be sure to let us know by giving us a shout over on Twitter, leaving a comment on Podbean, or sending us a quick email at focusfirechat@gmail.com. Reviews or comments on where we can improve are always welcome. They let us know what we can do better to create a more enjoyable experience for everyone. To all those who have already sent us feedback or left us a review, thank you. As many of you are aware, Focus Fire Chat is a community in which we offer the chance to dive into lore from within various titles and mediums, with a special focus on the Destiny universe. Every Friday, at about 10 p.m. Central, the podcast team gets together to stream a summary of the chosen topic for that week. The hope for this is to help encourage dives into aspects of game lore within both our Discord server and within the other communities we share the digital world with. If you're a fan of lore in all its various forms, be sure to also check out thelorenetwork.com, a central hub for content that covers a wide variety of different titles and mediums. Our full show notes for each week's topic will be posted here, so for the additional information or guest details, be sure to check the site out. Our next topic is going to be a look at the lore book, The Pigeon and the Phoenix. That being said, however, we still want to hear your thoughts about this week's topic. Be sure to weigh in over on Discord, and don't be shy in tagging any of the team in on the conversation. We can't wait to read what your thoughts are. But for now, let's get back to the show. So the Dawning Delights, Dawning Delights has been around 2 years now.
2 years.
And go for it.
Yeah, it's a collection of, I would almost call them like journal entries is what they kind of feel like, because it's Eva talking about, in most of these, Eva talking about different characters within the game that we know, different NPCs. There are a few entries that don't necessarily follow that format, but for the most part, it's just Eva's take on a bunch of different people. I think my favorite take is still the Zavala take, because it's wholesome, but also kind of that same feeling that a lot of us have. And we're going to get into at least a brief summary of all of them. There are, I believe, 22 entries for this book, which is, it's an actual book rather than a booklet, in my opinion. And there's a bit of significance within the book itself that kind of ties into some history of some of our NPCs that we don't get a whole lot of information about. We have Amanda Holiday, we have Hawthorne has an entry, we get information about Mark and Devram, and if you don't know who Mark is, you will by the end of Devram's entries. Just, there's a lot of little tidbits, and it's a really mostly fun-loving book. There's not a whole lot of darkness to it. With that being said, last week we did the whole Eva's journey. Do we want to start with any Eva quotes, or do we want to just jump right into the book, Blue?
Well, I think the thing with the quote, you're correct in that Dawning Delights is not a lot of darkness, but the origins of the Dawning kind of points to a bit of a dark time. And this was back in Rise of Iron when we kind of got all this information. What was that? That was that was one of the first suits of our sets of armor that we got that was specific to a seasonal thing too, if I remember correctly. It was pretty cool armor. But this was the one where they talk about, like, the one that, the quote that just always sticks with me, like, just really hard to think about is, and I can't remember which piece of armor, I think it was the chest or it was the head, but it's so much hung on our heads, which path to take, which children. And it's just like, I remember reading these quotes on this armor, and it's Eva really predominantly that's kind of speaking about it. And it's just like, geez, like, you want to talk about just something that, like, hammers home the difficulty that they had to go through. It's like so what they're saying is, they had to choose to leave children behind because they couldn't bring everyone. And it's just like, oh man.
The most basic history of the Dawning is the fact that it comes from a time where Eva, specifically, now granted, Eva is not necessarily the originator of it. She and Tess both organized the first one, but the idea behind it, I think, is older than those two. I think
they organized. They brought it to the tower, but Dawning, Dawning seems a lot older because there's stories of Amanda having Dawning on the road to the last city. So, like, the Dawning is like this, the Dawning is, it's at the end of the year. So it's very reminiscent of, like, modern day Christmas, New Year's Eve. If you're familiar with Christian, or Christianity, there's like the Epiphany, Hanukkah, all the kind of world religions and world celebrations of just the end of the year. Like, even if you're not religious, that's kind of a celebration. The winter solstice, the whole thing. Everything's coming to an end, and a new beginning is occurring. And so that's what the Dawning is it's the dawning of a new year. However, the other thing that, like, the thing that I kind of take in it is that it's also, the dawn is also a really cold point of the day. And when you look at the Rise of Iron Armor, you're talking about people who froze to death while they were, being led through killing freezing blizzards. And so it's the dawning. They were always looking for that dawning of light on the horizon. And when they found it, when they did see it, that's kind of where I kind of get the idea. That's kind of the idea behind the dawning crystal, is like that's the breaching of the sun over the horizon and the return of warmth, really. That's just kind of my head canon, but I
like that. Yeah, that's metaphor.
Well, because if you look at, and the reason why is because I actually got the ghost shell this year, the little dawning crystal ghost shell. It was really kind of cool. But if you look at the way that crystal's designed, it's almost like a sun. It's like an ice sun. So that's just kind of, I was looking at it and I was like, that actually kind of makes sense, because it seems odd that is like the centerpiece of everything. Like, it was a big deal to get Ikora to make it for the tower.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. There's not a whole lot describing why Eva wanted Ikora to make it, but she sure does go after Ikora every year to make it.
Doom for Zombie says that I think all the holidays is in the city for a while before they come up to the tower. That is actually correct. We get that kind of confirmed with Festival of the Lost. And again, Eva is responsible for I think pretty much all of the festivals being brought to the tower. Eva is the driving force behind that. And the reason why a lot of times they have not taken place in the tower is because of the segregation between guardians and citizens. The guardians Eva is like the bridge between those two. Eva says, I want to say it's in the Dawning Delights, actually. She talks about how the guardians don't really know how to approach citizens sometimes. Or no, it's one of the ships, the Insomnia ship. And she's like, she says that each guardian has a different approach to it, but the thing is that she feels that they need to know that they are welcome. They are welcome to be included, however they feel comfortable. She wants them included in all of that.
So, do we want to kind of dive into the perspective of Eva on some of our different characters, or not our characters, but our NPCs within the game? Because Eva has quite a bit to say, which is not only just revealing about her own character herself, but also a little bit more about how certain characters are perceived within the Dawning.
Yeah, I mean, the first one that I see that you have here is the joy of the dawning. It's a reminder that we should never, ever lose hope. I mean, it's, again, Eva does not have a bright past. Eva's past and Eva's story is one that is not very happy. And so, again, her saying that is even more powerful given her history. And then you kind of see that in her view of everyone around her. Because even Drifter, she's like, I don't trust you, but I'm going to give you a cookie. Like, it's like she's like, I don't think you should trust him, but you just give him a cookie.
Well, everybody's welcome in the Dawning.
Right.
Including Aldrin. Anyway.
Yes, definitely including Aldrin.
Pauses for effect.
The well of optimism that is his ghost.
Well, yes. And what better ghost to have for somebody who is the most emo character in the entire game?
The Bulldog.
Right?
I just want to see Eva adopt Aldrin.
I
like that.
I totally would see it happen too.
Yes, I could totally see her just bringing him under his wing and being like, come on, we'll cheer you up, give you some nice tea and try and make you a bit happier, feel a bit more welcome. Could totally see her saying that. Yeah. This is what I need to see.
Poor Aldrin. But it is a slight confirmation of where he's at, and that That's not necessarily within the Dawning itself. That's within one of the cards we got for the Dawning about the ship. Amnestia, I believe, is the name of it.
Amnestia, yep.
But I think, Blue, you should jump into the first card of the Dawning and talk about our other favorite Blue Awoken.
Oh gosh. Is this the... Okay, you want me to talk about the nitty knitters?
Yeah, talk about Zavala. And also the terrible joke, apparently.
Oh. Oh, that reminds me of a joke. Oh man, so this entry is Lighter Days, and it's like I love how Eva explains her progression of kind of getting to know Zavala. She's like, if you've never met him, he can be a bit stern. He's hardened further since the Red War, I'm sorry to see. So obviously this is Season of the Forge, was when we got this particular entry. She goes on to say, I suppose we all have to some degree. In any case, that very first meeting left a sour taste in my mouth. I hate to admit that I avoided Zavala when I could after that, though sometimes he makes himself unavoidable. Which I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Hang on. It's often the sternest among us who have the saddest hearts, which is kind of interesting. This was like she's remembering one of the first times, the first dawning at the tower. And she and Tess had just been decorating, and she had left to get something when Zavala began heading her way. And so she wished him happy dawning, and then he wished her the same, and he smiled. And then she says she doesn't remember what brought this on, but suddenly he said, "Oh, that reminds me of a joke." She says, at first I thought I must have heard him wrong, because the Titan Vanguard had always struck me as the, quote, no time for joking, end quote, sort. But he had barely begun telling the story before I noticed how much more relaxed his posture was. It seemed the spirit of the dawning had reached even this stone man. I'm just going to read this because it's just terrible. I remember only pieces of the joke these days. I believe it had to do with a guardian and a falling captain, but I clearly remember that he stumbled over the first few words and had to start again. I gave the warmest smile I could to encourage him, and he went on to tell one of the longest, most awkward jokes I had ever heard. And listen, I loved every minute of it. Truly, I couldn't have been happier. Oh, I clapped and laughed along with what I swear was real true joy from Zavala. To have such a guarded soul open like that, few things are more beautiful. I admired him so in that moment that he could push himself beyond the boundaries he held himself to. I remember hoping that I could someday be so brave in my own way. For the first time, I didn't just respect him as one of the city leaders. For the first time, I felt real, genuine affection for Zavala, the person. Zavala, my friend.
I love how Zavala is going to moonlight as a comedian after this whole thing's over with.
Would that be before or after he has his knitting circle?
I mean, he's multi-talented. Like, the guy, he's got a soft side. He's the real romantic character.
He knits with Kevlar.
He knows Shakespeare and Art of War, I think, as well.
Yeah.
What else?
The Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
Gosh, Zavala is such an interesting little character, and it's nice to see that. Him. It's. I know he gets a lot of flack for, technically, just in a lot of people's words, the way he handled the Red War, but he's still just a person too. He's
he did a good job in my book.
Yeah, he's just slightly unapproachable, I think, is the biggest thing, because he's the adult. And he's always the adult.
Yeah. And I think people probably also compare him to Cade and feel like Cade's the fun, jokester, and Zavala seems a lot more serious and not so fun, I guess.
He's the one that he's like, we don't have time for jokes, we have to defend it because we might die. Everyone else is like, just relax. He's like, no, did you not hear what I just, you know what? Just forget it. Like,
it sounds like an actual conversation.
Yeah, it's like we might, you know what? Yeah, okay.
And Okora just standing in the background, shaking her
Okora's
head.
just like, I don't have time for this.
Yep.
what was it that she told Cade? Entertaining or fooling you would be the least I could do, or something like that. I can't remember the exact thing from
like
D2.
Fooling you would be would be the easiest thing
I do today or something. Yeah. Oh
yeah. Gosh, I've forgotten about that one. Been a while.
Yes. But I think we should move right along because we got a lot of cards to get through. To tradition is bigger than you. Jazzy, do you want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, I can do this one. So this one's about Ikora. So so I think Eva's talking about traditions for the dawning, and say how she's at this point she's back in the tower, wants to have a really lovely dawning celebration. So she asks Ikora to make the dawning crystal, the lovely one that you see in the tower, and she sounds like she asks her repeatedly until she finally gets her to do it.
Hey, Ikora. Hey, Ikora. Hey, Ikora.
Hey, listen. Wait, wrong game.
Oh. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh, thank you. So she said, she makes an appointment, to talk about the decoration. She knows that she's busy, so when she comes to find Ikora and she hears her talking with someone, she doesn't want to barge right in. So we'll probably call this eavesdropping, I suppose. And Ikora is apparently, sounding a bit angry about, having to do the dawning decorations. She thinks it's a bit frivolous. And then her ghost is saying, it's not frivolous. People need this. And she's saying that she's got other things, to worry about. There's stuff happening out on the troubled shore, and her hidden reporting. I assume this is about Drifter. Probably also concerned about him. And then saying, that she hasn't heard anything from Osiris, and sounds a little bit sad, I think, but she said not that she expects it, but obviously perhaps she'd like to hear from him.
I think it's just more the realization that there are a lot of people who need a tradition to hold on to. Right?
Yeah, that kind of, yeah. I think that's probably what it definitely sounds like that's what her ghost was trying to get across to her. And then then she picks up that Eva is there, and so Eva comes across to her, wishes her happy dawning. Let's see what else. Then she after I think saying no twice, she finally agrees. Yep, okay, she'll do the dawning crystal, and sounds like her. So yeah, she does that. What else have we got here? So then her Eva is running around doing errands with her assistant Malia, and so they come up to see Ikora when she creates the huge dawning crystal that you see, and trying to think how much I need to summarize of this.
No, you're good.
And her assistant Malia, is I think probably quite shocked, we'll say that. And drops all the packages she's carrying, and Ikora comes over to help them pick her up, and then poor Malia, she's actually just crying, but apparently her family. Eva says, Malia's family escaped the city during the Red War. You see, though they survived and have a home again, there have never been many beautiful things in their lives, which is quite lovely. Mm-hmm. It must have been nice for her to be seeing that really beautiful crystal, and she, Malia, touches Ikora's arm and bows a thank you. And then Eva bends down to take the packages from Ikora, all except one, which is bound in golden ribbon and embossed with an open eye encircled by a sun. So, and she gives the package to Ikora, and then hears Ikora's ghost whisper to say, "I told you so."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just quite cute. Like,
Gotta
quite
love
nice.
Ophiuchus.
That's nice also to see Ikora actually talking to her ghost. Since there was that long, what was it, like 60-something years or something that they didn't talk? Or she didn't talk, rather, to her ghost. So
she just ignored him the entire time.
yeah, so nice to see. Oh, at some point they must have made up, I suppose, or she started talking to him again. So yeah,
something.
Think about it.
Yeah. So after that, we get to Dawning Before the Dawning, which is actually the story of Amanda on the road, Amanda Holiday, and it's Eva reflecting on a story that Amanda had told her about when they were coming to the tower and some of the hardships that they were dealing with. You get a little bit of information about her mother and her father in some ways. Nora met Amanda's father in some half-abandoned village, and when she told him about the last safe city, he followed her, and they had no family but themselves. They picked up fellow refugees on the way and lost others. And this main part of the story is, in this entry in particular, is the story of Amanda and these refugees on the way to the tower having their own dawning celebration. And this is what Blue had mentioned earlier about how the dawning is older than the tower. It's older than the traditions of the tower, at least. And Amanda told me about one particular dawning they had shared out in the wild. They had fallen in with another family that had a child, Lucia, a bit older than Amanda. They were agreeable travel companions, and they found themselves in the thick of a forest, with the wind wailing and a storm coming down, branches flying, and they realized they had to stay put. So they find this drop ship and lean up a wing and crumpled siding and squeezed all together, all grown-ups and the little ones, to be in this dry little space. And Amanda's mother is the one who kind of initiated the whole thing, and basically she sent the adults out to go grab forage food for them and water or something to drink. And Amanda's father came back with all sorts of different things, long leaf plants to weave into mats, and the companions came back with water flasks, some prickly fruit, and a dozen or so wild vegetables like cucumbers. So they feasted on this. That was their holiday meal. With that, I think the prickly fruit, you get a description from Amanda about it, that it was slightly sour. I think the prickly fruit is probably something. It's not. I don't know if it's lychee or what is it? Ramadan. That's a celebration.
Rambutan.
Rambutan or dragon fruit. It says that it's slightly sour, so it may not actually be anything truly relatable. In my headcanon, I think it's more like a lychee or the Rambutan, just because that idea, the prickly fruit, or it could be a prickly pear type thing, because it talks about white fruit within it. So they feast upon all these different aspects, and together the girls made a miniature garland of tiny bulbs. Amanda basically created Christmas lights for them. She's the one who helped fashion it. They celebrated, and they kind of just had that kind of somber yet really, really encouraging celebration out in the wild, where they basically made the best of what they had and realized that their togetherness is really the main part of the dawning. Really, really sweet story. Nice information about Amanda's family. Just her own journey, which Amanda's journey to the tower is kind of a sad one if you know the full of it. But this is a happy moment within there. Any other touch points that you guys think I missed on that?
Was that the one with the lights? Did you mention that? Sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
She made the Christmas lights.
She made the Christmas lights, yeah. Because that was the first hint, too, of her being like old hand with electronics.
Yeah, it did seem like a bit of a nod to saying that might have been how she got interested in doing.
Make yourself useful.
You know, that kind of stuff that led to her, working on like sparrows and ships and that sort of thing, which was nice as well.
All right, Blue.
Well, you want to talk about like one that's kind of almost a tearjerker. It's the feeling that counts, and this one is with Banshee 44.
Poor Banshee.
Oh my gosh, he is so adorable.
I know. Can we just all give him hugs, please?
Yeah, it's just like he's like, oh my gosh. So anyway, so basically this is Eva. She has been told by her suppliers that they delivered a couple boxes to the gunsmith by mistake. So she goes to Banshee to sort it out. And of course, Banshee, being Banshee 44, has no idea what she's talking about. But she says, he recognizes me and I notice his eyes glow a teensy bit brighter. Must be about the dawning, he mumbles and turns on his heel and heads straight to some shelves in the back. And he comes back with 2 big boxes. And he hands them to her, and he's like, "Are these them?" And she says they open it up, and this is like hilarious. So like the first one is a very old box of chocolates. She's like, "You probably should throw these away." A copy of Hunter of the Heart, which is described as I know this novel, but it is not for everyone.
For Cade, apparently.
Oh my. And so basically Eva's like, "Oh no, these are presents people had given you for the dawning, Banshee." And he's like, "Oh." And then he like puts it away, and then he pulls out the other box, and this is the part that like just melts me. Is he pulls out the other box and he opens it, and it's full of dawning gifts wrapped in brightly colored paper and tied with glittery ribbon. Some are in tiny boxes, but some are guns, of course, and they are all meticulously labeled. And Eva's like, "I think these are the presents you are giving to friends this year." And she nods, and then he then goes through and reads every single label. And then Eva says that she also notices that he's even written instructions on how to use the gifts. And then he goes on to say, I got in the habit of writing everything down. Sometimes I don't always remember." He waves the thought away. And then she's like, "Okay, so I still need my supplies," the box that she originally came to get. And he's like, "Oh, I know those." And he's going to go take the boxes back. And Eva tells him, "You should label them. Old dawning gifts and new dawning gifts to be delivered." And he agrees and writes on the lids. And then he comes back with her packages, and he makes sure to tell her, "I never forget my friends for the dawning." I'm like,
he's so sweet.
I love Banshee. Like,
he's very sorry.
But yeah, so and I think she says at the beginning too, he's like one of the older residents of the city in the tower. Yeah, some residents of the tower have been around for very long indeed. The Guardians, the Exos, the old Iron Lord. They have seen dawning after dawning. Even before the tower began observing the holiday as we now know it, there were those who would always celebrate with similar ceremonies of light and hope. Sometimes these memories blend together, but the feeling remains. So again, kind of nodding to Banshee being habitually like this, not necessarily because he remembers it, but because he feels like this is the right thing to do.
Our choices define us. Jazzy?
Alrighty. So this one is about Hawthorne. Gives a little bit of a background on her. When she was younger. And quite clear, Eva seems to really admire Hawthorne. Says that, sometimes when I face something frightening, I think of the strongest people I know and draw strength from them. Soraya Hawthorne is one of those people. I know her brusque attitude can be off-putting, and that's intentional on her part, but once you get past that, there is so much to learn. So apparently Hawthorne was orphaned when she was young, and Devram and his husband Mark adopted her or took her in. And I think Eva mentions that they must have been pretty good role models for her, and that's why, one reason she's turned out the way she has. They raised her to be sure of herself and to always do what she thought was right, even though that ultimately led to her having to leave the city. So apparently, from what Hawthorne says, one day she came home and she found Mark and Devram sitting at the kitchen table, and they asked her to sit down and then asked if there was anything she wanted to tell them, and she said no. So, right,
this conversation is so amazing.
And then Mark asked her to try again, but she was silent, so he told her that Executor Hideo, who's from New Monarchy, had stopped by their home. She asked how he was. You know how he is, Devram said. Tell us what happened. And Hawthorne says his face got in the way. And then Mark says that Hideo claims that he caught her stealing supplies that morning and asked did she have anything to say about that. And she says she did not. And Mark reminds her that stealing supplies and breaking a faction leader's nose were both good ways to get kicked out of the city. And Soraya, just shouted her explanation, saying, that the factions didn't care about the people who needed food and supplies, the people who could not pledge to a faction because they were too busy struggling to survive. But she wanted to help them, so she would sometimes steal supplies from New Monarchy.
She's a Robin Hood character here.
Yeah, she is too. And Devram asked her, what about Hideo? And she explained that when he'd found her, he'd said all manner of nasty, evil things to her. She was worthless, she was nothing, things like that. And I love the way Eva says this. Devram agreed Hideo was, well, I won't repeat it, but suffice to say it means an unpleasant person. Good old Eva. And apparently Hideo was insisting that Hawthorne be punished, and I think that apparently just gave her the motivation to decide that she wanted to leave the city. And she thought maybe that was partly why she'd punched Hideo. And she told that to Mark and Devram, and I just loved their response. They were just quiet for a bit, then Devram broke the silence. Well, let's get packed. He's just so sweet, doesn't even question it. Yep, okay, you want to leave the city? Cool, we're going with you. They're so lovely. And she disagrees with them coming with her. She says, she wasn't about to let her decisions hurt these men who had taken her in and cared for her. They'd done nothing wrong. And they had a big argument about it for a long time until they, she finally said, if you try to come with me, I'll run away. And they tried to convince her one more time, to let them come with her. And she was quite adamant and said, I won't let you suffer from my choices. What else could they do? And Mark said, he could hold off Hideo for a day or two so they could all make a plan. And then he said, you're going somewhere close enough that we can come and check on you as often as we like. At least for a while, that is non-negotiable. And Eva says he had no negotiating power, of course, but Soraya agreed anyway. So apparently she stayed very near the city for over a year before she finally said a proper goodbye to them and headed out further into the world. And and then Eva says, Soraya Hawthorne is, in my mind, the definition of doing what you think is right. Regardless of the consequences, she knew it was right to help struggling families. She knew it was right to not put Devram and Mark in harm's way, and she knew it was right to give them some peace of mind by staying close. That is the kind of true courage I've always admired. So, yeah, I quite like that entry. It's very nice.
I like how it's followed up with an entry about Devram.
Yes, yeah. Nice way to tie into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Segues for the win. Devram, the entry about him, is kind of more of a remembrance between her, Eva and him, and some of the growth. You hear Eva talk about her own personal growth throughout all of the story, and especially through the Red War. And she made a friend in Devram, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly from last week, that she made a friend in Devram right after the Red War happened, within on the farm and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's
she talks about
that's what I got the feeling of, at least, because that's when he formed. What was it? The Old Guard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is amusing. I'll call him the Seasoned Guard for anybody who gets upset about being called old. But Eva talks about how he looks out for others and helps anyone who asks. She said she saw him many times after she made her way back to the farm. He'd come by from time to time to check in on everyone and make sure everything was going all right. We sat down for tea a few times. Such a kind, sincere soul. We need more of those, you know. She goes on to talk about what's out there. They have kind of arguments time and again about the merits of fighting versus the merits of doing what Eva does with the organization. And Devram felt very strongly about you still have to stand up to it. Even if you are an organizer, you really have to stand up to it. And the line in particular, he says, Eva, this isn't some what-if situation. You've already had to defend yourself. It stands to reason you'll have to do it again. The Cabal aren't backing down, and they're not the only threat. To know all that and still not even try to protect yourself, it's irresponsible. Just kind of a throwback into Eva's journey with her she picked up the shotgun. And if you remember, she had injured herself with the shotgun because most likely it was geared towards more of a guardian stance rather than a normal human. And even then, Eva's older, so even if it wasn't a normal human, a 12 gauge can very easily bruise ribs if you don't put it in the correct place as far as taking the impact. And when Eva went back to the tower, they still had correspondence via letter, but one of the correspondence that she got was a package from Devram himself, where he had sent her a sidearm with beautiful ornate design and antique coloring. The note from him says, Eva, my friend, I was sorry to hear that you left the farm after all, but very glad to know that you'll be among dear friends. In that spirit and in the spirit of the dawning, I wanted to offer you this gift. It has been passed down through my family for generations. It's a K family heirloom. And before you throw it away, you should know that it doesn't fire. I thought this might be a nice compromise and hope you'll accept it. I hope the tower treats you well, old friend. Devram. So even though he knows that she's not going to pick up a firearm and join the fight, he still wanted to give her something that to him is also very precious, that family heirloom. Kind of a sadder story, but very, very poignant as well. Blue, dawning on the storming seas.
Dawning on the star. I'm surprised you let me talk about this one.
Just because it's Sloane?
Just because it's Sloane.
It may be because I'm partial to a card later on that I wanted to make sure I was in the correct order to get to.
I see how you're doing this. So I found something really interesting about Sloane is that she's identified as a Stoneborn. Which is interesting because if I remember, it's also called out that there are no Stoneborn Titans left. So I was like, okay. Anyways, that was interesting. But no, so it's basically Sloane is writing to Eva, just basically telling her thank you for everything, especially packaging up the chicken, which I didn't know she sent Colonel out there, but apparently.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. No, Colonel.
Bird. Chat's not happy with me. So, anyways, so she says that she's tried decorating the railings outside the command center with all the garlands, but the Fallen kept picking at it for target practice. And so basically she goes on to say, that it gave them an opportunity to take a break and to celebrate a pseudo dawning even out on Titan. And, she says that she said, we cut our protein rations into fun shapes. I was like, what? and once we got your taffy warmed up enough to chew, it was heaven. I'm like, this is such a Titan. Like, this is such a Titan's letter. Like, it's just like, I'm like, what is going on?
It's also just a reminder of how cold it is there. You don't see it as a guardian. You don't feel it, but man.
That's true.
Titan is not a warm place.
And then someone apparently cross-stitched "Where's my beacon?" To hang in her quarters. Apparently it's an inside joke for her inspirational quote. Yeah, so she says, she was, and she goes on to explain that, like, the gifts that change hands on Titan are decent tools, heavy ammo, and thick socks. Maybe that doesn't impress people accustomed to the dawning in the towers, but those presents have worth to us. When we joined hands afterward, whether for warmth or just conviviality, we got to talking in a way we never really had before. I don't think I've ever voluntarily shared stories about myself in my life. We talked about who we were before the Red War, where we came from, and even where we might want to go in the future. It's not easy here on this storm-tossed moon. One jolt and you're tumbling off a platform into eternity. Between the Fallen and the Hive and the elements, we were always just struggling to stay alive. But as we sat there chatting, we felt alive. I guess I wrote this all to say thank you, Eva, for reminding us to take a moment to appreciate and rejoice no matter what. I find that inspiring.
That's nice.
And then Eva's opinion. I have never left Earth, and Titan sounds like a very interesting place.
Too polite to say what she really thinks.
It's like, I'm like, oh, Grandma's not impressed. Oh man. So yeah, that was from Sloan.
I think that "Where's my beacon?" bit is I think that's a reference to one of the Titan adventures.
Yeah. It's because the Fallen keeps stealing.
Where's my beacon?
The Fallen kept stealing it. She's
what's
like,
it?
I'm gonna manage.
What's it? Yeah, there's that, like, looking at the transcripts. What's it? Zavala says Sloan has stepped aside for the moment. The thing she's shouting would blister your ears. Oh, so good.
Oh, gosh.
So I think the next one is celebrate each other.
So I think this is me, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Alrighty. So this one's about the lovely AI failsafe. Eva says, that she'd heard about the Exodus colony ships. She didn't really know much about them, and she'd forgotten about it until, some Guardians told her they'd found, one of the Exodus ships crashed on Nessus, and they told her about what happened to its failsafes. And she says, I understand they were originally one AI, the ship's navigational intelligence, but with time they separated. It sounds to me like one of them is always happy and the other is always sad. That's no way to live for either of them. These things must exist in balance. I know they're computers, but I worry for them. And she says the one Guardian told her recently of the time he told the failsafes about the Dawning Festival. He'd gone to see them to turn some bounties in and mentioned that he was excited to get back to Earth to participate in the festivities. So they asked him to explain, what is this Dawning, as they'd never heard of it. And He said something to the effect of, "It's a winter celebration that combines several old Earth traditions." And Eva says they responded, "I will try to word this exactly as he did, since he prided himself on his imitation of them." They responded by the happy one saying, "According to my database, Earth's winter occurs when one hemisphere is oriented away from the sun. Why do you celebrate being cold?" Then the sad one said, "I mean, I can't feel cold, but it sounds awful." So, it's probably a really terrible imitation. So the Guardian said something like, "It's more that we're celebrating each other," which I love because that is how I've always thought of it as well. We're all here together, eating sweets and being with each other. The fail-safes asked a few more questions, and then the happy one said, "If we are celebrating each other, how can I participate in the dawning? I am all alone. It is very depressing." And the sad one said, "I'm not going to celebrate the fallen." And so, the guardian, Eva's guardian friend, said, "You can wish every guardian that comes out to Nessus a happy dawning. Celebrate with us. We would love that." And that seemed to cheer both of them up a bit. And apparently they practiced wishing him a happy dawning for the better part of an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Apparently they needed a fair bit of practice, I suppose. And Eva said, I know. Eva says, "Go visit them if you have a chance. Being far from the city shouldn't stop anyone from having a pleasant dawning." So that's quite sweet. Mm-hmm. Nice that Failsafe's got to be involved in their own little way, I guess.
Yeah. You know what's I love that entry because you get Failsafe's personality, but then we get into the next one where we have some other colorful personalities.
Yeah.
And the next one is a cautionary tale. And it starts out with Ikora approaching Eva and saying, "Eris Morn is more depressed than usual," kind of thing. Like she really wants Eva to go and talk to her, which she's proud of herself for not snorting at that whole thing about Eris being depressed, which is like, okay, sassy grandma is still sassy. Got it. But Ikora is really concerned about Eris and saying that she's more depressed than usual, which is hard to tell kind of thing. And the technicians in the Hall of Guardians are complaining, which is probably the real reason why Ikora is approaching Eva. And basically she tries to brainstorm with Eva, and Eva says perhaps she has a friend. Well, maybe not a friend, but somebody she likes to talk to. Someone who she has something in common with. And then Ikora perked up and said that there is somebody she will voluntarily talk to. Which is Asher. So we have awkward, slightly depressed girl.
You have to keep going because
yeah.
The best part's the next part.
Okay, so Ikora perked up. There is someone she addresses voluntarily. A Jinsum scribe named Asher Mir. He's also, he's an excellent scholar. I'll reach out to him, unless you know him, of course. I don't! But I hope it goes well. I want everybody to have a happy dawning. Now, if you'll excuse me, I do have to make deliveries. And then, essentially, Ikora got a letter from Asher. She said he grumbled at first. He seemed unaware that the dawning was taking place, in fact, but I explained. And when I told him it would be very well regarded if he wrote her a dawning greeting card or went to visit her, he said he could write a card. He also said he had a dawning gift for her. And he was like, "Oh, how kind." I'm not so sure. It was folded in four to form a greeting card. Nothing on the cover, but inside was written, "Eris, the Warlock Vanguard has approached me about cheering you up for a holiday that is going on. I shall seize the serendipitous opportunity to send you the research notes you demanded of me and on her heretical practices among the Hive. However spurious the grounds for your request, Warmest wishes to you this dawning, Asher Mir. Did you dictate that last part to him, Ikora? Yes. Well, you had better take it to her. I wouldn't call Hive Research a traditional dawning present, but she did request it. And so it kind of just... Oh my gosh, this just cracks me up. This is one of the longest cards, by the way. Eris also had a dawning gift for me to pass on to Asher. At least she's making an effort. Well, I can't give this to him, Ikora hissed. I can just get rid of it, right? This is beyond a question of dawning etiquette, I whispered back. She nodded, her face set. Let us never speak of this again.
The letter that she wrote to Asher back.
Uh-huh. Asher, take heed not to succumb to the whispers, as fools do. Warmest wishes to you this dawning. Eris Morn.
So good.
The most socially awkward characters in the entire game. Forced to... And they actually like each other. That's the thing, is they actually like each other.
I don't! So the best part is, like, Eva's just maneuvering completely around that situation. Was like, nope,
right.
Bye!
She is a master manipulator. Like I said last week. She is a master manipulator. Okay. Oh my gosh.
I bet I'll hear his shout of gratitude all the way over here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So, this is the Say It With a Dawning gift. Yeah, this is for Shax. And so, this was shortly after a certain card had come out, and everyone lost their mind about it.
Oh, no.
And Shax was looking for a gift to give a certain special somebody. And he decided that he wanted to give a bow. And I don't really know where it went, but it's like, it basically starts off with, he tries to explain what a bow is to Eva. And he had placed a bow on the bow. And he was like, it's a compound bow for shooting arrows. It's like, I suspected he was smitten, and this would not be a short conversation. I'm like, it's like Shax is like, so Shax is the most like extroverted individual, but then it comes to his special friend, and he's like, the whole thing is hilarious because he's going by a code name, and he is trying to whisper as best as he possibly can,
which is hilarious.
But he's Shax because he can't.
It's gonna boom everything.
I'm like, so I guess actually my question is for you guys on this one. Who do you think this was for?
Oh, do we want to get into this one?
I'm just curious. I'm just curious because I have a pretty strong opinion on who this is for, but
there's the knee-jerk reaction that it's for Mara, which is what the internet blew up and had its very big Marax moment, which Black Flag just said something in chat that is hilarious. Did this bow become the vow for Crimson Days? Like Mara returned it and Shax re-gifted it to us?
Oh my God.
That is amazing.
So
headcanon.
No, it didn't, because the vow is not a compound bow.
Right. But the opinions that I think is a little bit more accurate is probably Zhur.
Yeah, the only thing is that he did mention that he destroyed a book of hers once. And so that's where a lot of people
think it was Mara.
I think that's what
might be. Who knows? Maybe he's destroyed more than one person's book. I mean, I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me. And I'm gonna get so much grief, but maybe it's for both of them.
Could be. I mean, he did meet Zhur.
Yeah, well, because when he met Zhur, he was like enthralled with her. Like he was like,
She's an Amazon.
What do you call it? The literal heart eyes.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was basically like Shax turned into a puppy dog. Like it was just like he was like, "You're so tall."
I see those chibi eyes coming out of the helmet for him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyways, but the reason why is because later down she says, she likes literature. She likes to fight. She's real. She's very... Is a recurve bow more romantic than a compound bow?
Asking the right
I'm like, Jax, what the... I nodded knowingly. I wouldn't know the difference between those weapons. But maybe a book would be better. I have read Ikora's On Circles Revised Edition. It was very good. That is a terrible dawning gift.
Slightly, oh god, robotic in his response to that.
Oh my god.
All right.
Oh, gee.
Friendly face.
Yes, so what's this? Oh wait, is this No Such Thing as Coincidence? Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one. Yeah, so this one is for Anna Bray, I think this is. Yes, this is Anna Bray. So Anna comes to see Eva one time, coming to buy supplies for the dawning. And let's see, she wants to put it, so she asked for Eva's help to put together a really small, intimate dawning celebration. So, she's apparently, sounds like she's planning a celebration with Cameron, who is her girlfriend, partner. And so Eva starts, giving her suggestions about what she can get, things like lanterns, candles, and streamers. I think that's, just okay. Gets her, picking up colors and that kind of thing. And then so after they picked up, some lanterns, Eva pulls out her biggest assortment of dawning treats and says, "Sharing and generosity are the heart of the dawning. This collection is the one you want. Here I paused if you want to impress someone you love." And so Anna decides to get it, and then she's, and then Eva tries to get her, finally the dawning gift, the most important, and Anna just says, "Oh, I've already got a good dawning gift." And apparently Eva, so Anna puts her belongings on the counter, to show her that, she's got a necklace box. And Eva happens to scan the spines of the thick books, some with very long titles, all labeled Fuan Library, reference do not remove. Only Anna doesn't pay attention to such rules like, that. Not above nicking library books, although maybe she'll return them later. I don't know. And then Anna shows Eva a necklace. Here's what I picked. I think she'll like it. And Eva says, "I didn't know who she was, but I admired the necklace she was showing off, an elongated pendant with an emblem bird of exquisite workmanship." And I think this just also shows how nerdy Anna is. She grinned that design is golden age, but the pendant also holds 35 petabytes of data.
God.
Getting a practical but beautiful gift, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so good. And then, Eva convinces her to buy a book bag and some wrapping paper as well, and complete all the purchase. And then just as Anna's about to go, Zavala comes up, and
dun, dun.
Yeah. So he, calls her Anastasia. That's her very full name. And Zavala muttered the hunter. She pushed her shoulders back and thrust out her chin. She looked fierce as a falcon.
Zavala says, "Happy dawning, Anna. I'm surprised to see you in the tower." And she says, "Yeah, well, I had errands." And apparently Eva missed whatever else they said because because someone ran up with a package asking, "Hey, did I hear that woman was headed back to Mars? This one's going there too." Eva says, "I ran my eyes down the packing list: candles, lanterns, candy assortment, wrapping paper, cloak, ordered by a Cameron Demusi. Got a funny feeling it was such a coincidence." And says, "I think this is meant to be a surprise. The package can wait for tomorrow's deliveries." And then when she looked back, she sees that Zavala and Anna are deep in conversation, and she says, "By this, I guess that the dawning spirit was uniting old friends." So at least Zavala and Anna are seeming a bit more on talking terms, I suppose. So, yeah.
It's nice that you see that Cameron and Anna reunited.
Yes, that's quite cute as well.
I think that's
nice. Especially the way the comic left off.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, she's dead. No, she's not. She's not dead. She's not dead.
We just don't know what she is at the moment.
Well, if there's been any alterations in respect, right. But she's around.
Yes,
she's with
she
Anna
is around. Still. Yeah. And just real quick, a petabyte is 1,000,000 gigabytes. So
that is a
holy moly! There you go.
So that's, 35 petabytes is whew.
And in a necklace too. That's
that's
one heck of a gift. Oh, so good.
Yeah. Okay, so that is the list for the first episode. So it took us a little bit to get through those guys. Blue, do you want to wrap up this intro episode since it's not really an introduction, it's last year's dawning essentially.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's a good way of saying that what we kind of were talking about was the last year. So this was post Red War, like immediately post Red War, and now so going into the advanced session, we're going to be talking about this most recent dawning, which will have a few updates and also a few new figures, obviously, since things have happened since this last one. So, but yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good wrap up. Just saying that it is last year's.
To be fair, we are going to touch on a few more from last year. There's at least 3 more that are from last year in the advanced episode. I just wanted to divide them in half. Because there's friendly face, what makes us want.
Green is good at organizing.
I may have gotten that when I did the GIF of the show notes. Everyone was like, "Oh my god!" They weren't even done. I did that GIF anyway. We should wrap.
All right. Well, Jazzy, do you want to lead us in shoutouts for the intro session?
Oh boy, what shoutouts am I doing?
You know, I'll give you a second to think. So shout out for me is going to be shout out to Pino, one of the Bungie devs, for being really on top of the guy is kind of everywhere, and it's amazing to see his interaction with a lot of the community members, and especially with pushing out the fundraising with the t-shirt design. Everything. The other thing that he's done that was really hilarious and I helped push as well is he had to get a certain amount of likes to get, I cannot remember the player's name.
Nem plays,
yeah,
was it? I think.
Yes,
I could be remembering wrongly.
You're right. Because it was either Nim Salt or something like that. He had to get a certain amount of likes to get him to change his name. We nailed it with that. So, yes. Shout out to the Bungie dev Pino, because he is an amazing guy. He's super supportive. He's always on Twitter, it seems, at least when he can be, and has been really a big voice in the community as far as helping people who want to interact with a dev interact with them. So, shout outs to him. Jazzy?
This is more broadly, not really for one person, but I'll say first shout outs to Bungie in general for doing the T-shirt for raising money for the Australian bushfire relief. Really, really awesome to see you guys, supporting Australians. I guess during these times of these really bad bushfires, and doing what you can to help raise money to help people and to help animals as well. And I guess tying in with that also, shout out to DDU podcast for helping to organize another bushfire relief as well, and also for all the streamers and content creators who've been getting involved with that and helping to raise money. You guys are all awesome.
Yeah. Also, next time, Bungie, can you do a fundraiser to improve the internet access for Australia? Because I swear, some of those. Nice. Oh my gosh, right?
That would be very nice. No complaints from me. No, that would definitely be nice.
All right, Blue.
Well, that's you guys nailed it both with my shout outs. Really just, the support for the Australians through this time and all that. You just keep pouring out the support, because that's what really the community shines when we come together and help people. So it's always great seeing that. For those of you in the live chat, Pins is being kind enough to share the Tiltify link that DDU set up. And then also the Bungie group has the t-shirts as well that we've kind of mentioned already. But, as always, just again, thank you for your time. And until next time, remember, stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring.
You fixed it.
With that, we'll begin to wrap the chat up. Thank you again to those over on Twitch for coming to spend your evening with us. If you'd like to join us for the live streaming of the episodes, please be sure to give us a follow over on twitch.tv/FocusedFireChat. Links to all our episode archives can be found at www.thelorenetwork.com. Please be sure to email us at focusedfirechat@gmail.com with any comments and or questions for the team concerning the podcast, and let us know how we're doing by giving us some feedback and a rating over on iTunes as well. So until next time, focus your fire and may your light shine bright.